The whole red pill movement has, I guess, probably gone about as far as it's going to be capable of going, at least as far as like pushing ideas. They might be able to reach more people, maybe, but I mean, the basic ideas behind the whole red pill thing, whether it's on the male side or the female side, it was kind of dumb to begin with, but I think finally we've reached the point where it's just not going to go any further than it has gone already as far as like concepts and stuff. And, people like Abbott and Preach and some other channels have done a really good job of making fun of some of these idiots out there who are talking about how you should be treating women or how you should be treating men or trying to give relationship advice on all these things on the internet. And when it comes to, relationship advice and how to live your life, I'm not going to say you shouldn't listen to people on the internet, because obviously every once in a while I get on here and I say some things, and hopefully I'm hoping that I'm genuinely giving you some solid perspective, not necessarily advice, but at least some perspective on how you should think about things. As always, they did a really good job of covering. They're covering a video. I'm covering a video of them covering them a video of something else. More or less talking about these trash women who get on here who get onto platforms and start talking about how you should be manipulating men to get what you want out of them. And they did a good job of covering a lot of the social aspects of it and the manipulative aspects of it. But I think, like every video that I do, I have one more thing that I'd like to add to the discussion that I feel is kind of a root cause of most of what we're going through, or most of what these people are going through, and most of what this anger and this infectious anger that they're spreading is going through. One of the things I've noticed in the 40 plus years of life that I've had so far is that most people seem to have a really hard time with letting things go. They have a really hard time with the idea of maybe not forgiveness, but just accepting that the things that happen to you really don't need to be something that you hold on to and cause you to take into the future with you. Obviously, human beings can't just completely disregard things. We all have scars from our past that affect who we are. They've changed how we've developed into who we become today. But there's a difference between being shaped by your past and dwelling in it. And I think that for red pilling of any kind, especially there's two different categories I want to talk about when it comes to this, okay? So the first category I want to talk about is just the people who are naturally, what's the word? Sociopaths. The sociopaths who get on the internet and start trying to portray the idea that treating people in this manner is something that's acceptable because society sucks and men suck or women suck and you should just be treating them this way. Those people are sociopaths. Anybody who gets on here, anybody who gets on a platform and starts consistently giving you the kind of advice that these people give you, they are sociopaths. They are the kind of people who don't care about anybody. They're just trying to get something, either from you as a viewer from watching or from the people that they're manipulating into giving them the lifestyle that they want. So that's one side of it. The sociopathic side of all of this whole red pill thing is just, it's a cancer that really needs to be removed by the public. I mean, I would never, I'm a free speech person. People can say what they want. But until the public at large decides that these people are stupid and stop paying attention to them, they're going to continue being able to do what they're going to do. So we need to realize, you as a viewer need to realize that these people are sociopaths. They have no compassion for anybody. Zero compassion at all. That's why they feel totally comfortable getting on a camera and saying all of these ridiculous things about how you should treat people like crap. Okay? So that's one category. The reason I think they gain so much popularity is because of the truly core issue for why this is a problem in the first place. And it is that people have a hard time with forgiveness. They have a hard time with, and not even forgiveness. There are certain people who did certain things to me for which I will never, forgive, but I don't dwell on it. I don't live in it. I don't think about it. I don't let it emotionally affect me because it brings me no benefit to think about people in the past who have done wrongs to me. I won't interact with them. I won't trust them again. I won't do anything that provides them with another avenue into my life if that ever became a thing, right? But I had one person reach out to me recently, I don't know, 6 months or a year ago, who I think it was. Anyways, completely ignored it because it's just like, that's not a road I want to go down anymore. It's not, I don't hate them. I don't wish any ill on them, but you know, when people do wrong to you, you can't, it's stupid of you to forgive to the point that you go back and you trust them and you're like, you got to cut certain people out of your life, and that's fine. The issue that I think we have, especially as a culture, is just this idea that we refuse to just let go. Let go of the things that are holding you back. The reason why these people get so much attention is because there are just so many people out there who feel like they've somehow been wronged by people. In many cases, maybe you were. Maybe you were in a relationship and somebody cheated on you. Okay, well, you have two choices at that point. You can allow yourself to fall into depression and paranoia and, you know, insecurity and all of these things, or you can just acknowledge that the person is just a piece of shit and move on with your life. I mean, you know, you could waste a decade or more with somebody, right? Like, I'm not going to get into specifics about anything, sorry. You could waste a decade of your life with somebody and then, you know, find out a bunch of weird things that you didn't know, and then, you know, you can dwell on that, and, you know, it's natural to spend a certain amount of time grieving and dwelling and, you know, going through those emotions and working through that stuff. But I think that the problem that we have is that too many people want to just sit in that. They don't want to process the emotions, go through the grief process, and then slide that part of them out of their life and then move on and find out what's next, right? And this is why you have so many people watching these sociopaths. It's because we have a retribution culture, especially here in America. We have this massive retribution culture. There's not enough people out there pushing for not even reconciliation. Like, I keep trying to use these words that don't really apply, but it's the spirit of it that I'm trying to get to. Like, you don't necessarily need to reconcile with people, but there needs to be a peace that comes, right? There needs to be a part where the conflict is over, the damage has been done, you repair what you can, you sequester the rest, and then there's peace at the end of all of that, right? There doesn't need to be a continuing war with the people around you because they did bad things to you. You can get to a point where, you know, you go through the grief process, you get over whatever it is that caused that grief, and then, you know, either you decide that I don't want to try that stuff again because I don't want to take the risk of getting hurt again, or you say, you know what, this was one experience and, you know, it really sucked, but am I going to stop trying to go after the things I want in my life because I had this one bad experience with this one person, right? If you're the kind of person who wants to find a good partner for your life to share your life with, then you can't carry the baggage of the bullshit that happened to you before into that relationship. If you are incapable of healing from the things that happened to you in the past, you're just going to carry that stuff into the next relationship with you. You're going to carry that sense of retribution. Like, it's not even just, like, your sense of insecurity comes from the fact that you didn't get the satisfaction that you wanted from what happened in the previous relationship, right? I know it's not obvious that that's the case, but let me explain. Your insecurity comes from the fact that you don't feel like you were good enough for the previous person. It doesn't enter your mind that maybe the previous person just wasn't for you, right? That person was not the kind of person who was able to give you what you wanted, and you weren't able to give them what they wanted, and they didn't have the willpower and strength to remain true to you. That's on them, right? That's a problem that they had, that they brought into the relationship with you, and you ended up having to suffer because of it, because they brought crap into the relationship. And then what you're doing when you go into your next relationship, before you've healed and made peace with that, is you're bringing all of that drama and crap that person dumped into your life, and now you're dumping it into someone else's life. And why are you doing that? It has nothing to do with you being insecure. It's this latent sense of somebody has to pay for the pain that I went through. And if you're going into a relationship following advice from people who tell you that you should be treating men in a certain way and you should be trying to get these things out of men or women, same thing. I'm saying, because this video was about a woman who was telling other women to stop listening to these stupid women. I keep saying that because that's the most recent thing. It's the same thing with the men. Like, the men do it too. These red pill podcasting men talk about how treating women like objects and all this other stuff. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all a sense of retribution, because every single one of these mofos got damaged in the past. They're unable to let it go. and they want to spread as much hate and discontent as they can. They are sociopaths. The ones who are willing to get up in public and say these things in front of you, in front of everybody, are the sociopaths, right? They still have the retribution aspect, but they're sociopaths. The rest of you, or the rest of the people who actually listen to this stuff, may not be sociopaths, but they indulge in this retribution culture that we have, where bad things happen, somebody has to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for it. And justice isn't a thing. It's more, I want satisfaction for the wrong that was done to me. This is the reason why in our country we have certain laws against people going and exacting their own justice, because it's almost never justice, it's just revenge. There's no proper punishment for the things that happen. It's, I want to hurt you because you hurt me. And this is what is happening when you go from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship, and you wonder why the men in your life treat you a certain way. And it's because you're bringing all of this drama with you from your past relationships, because you don't want to get over it. You want to make somebody pay for it, because how dare they do this to me? It's a retribution mindset. And as long as there is this constant sense of a desire for justice, rather than just saying, you know what, I had a bad experience, and I can live in that and continue to suffer in it, or I can just, cut the cord, let it go, and move on to the next thing and try to make the next one better. Until people can get to that point, you're going to struggle to find the kind of relationship that you want, because the only way you can make a relationship work with somebody is if you approach that person every day trying to bring the best you have. And if the best you have is angst and depression and insecurity and whatever because of previous relationships that you had, then, regardless of how hard they may try, you're never going to, there's never going to be any kind of real meaning together, because you cannot make a relationship work when one side is unconsciously sabotaging it all the time. You just can't make things work that way. Both of you need to be working together, because relationships are hard enough to do when you're both on the same page. It's infinitely harder when you're fighting each other all the time. And you're going to be fighting each other all the time so long as you can't get over your past. So my recommendation to you is everything that Abba and Preach said about the stuff that they said applies, but add on this other layer. There is nothing noble in getting revenge. I know it feels like it would feel good, but there's no nobility in, making people get what they deserve. Realistically, you deserve a lot worse than you get, and, there has to be a little bit of grace in there. I spent several years of my life trying to become a Christian, and I couldn't get there. But I agree with the philosophy of, all of us, every single person on this planet deserves way worse than most of us get. And the fact that we're able to live our lives and we treat each other with respect, and, we try to build up the society into something that's better, none of us really deserves that. We just get to take part in it, and it's great. And you need to treat your relationships that way too, right? If you're gonna choose to include someone in your life, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship or a marriage, if you are not every moment of every day trying to approach that person with the best attitude that you possibly can, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to screw it up. You're going to have moments where you're going to get angry and lose control. The point is that you need to try to be that way, right? Fights are going to happen. There's no avoiding that. Sometimes you're not going to have the patience to do it. But if you're not at least trying every moment of every day to try to control yourself to the point where you're bringing the best of yourself to the person that you're with, right? Then it's kind of ridiculous to expect them to do it for you. And it's kind of ridiculous to expect to have any kind of a real relationship at all with anybody, because who wants to be with the fucking sourpuss? Right? You don't want to be with one. They don't want to be with one. And if you're going to dwell in a crap relationship you had before, instead of just accepting that it was what it was and not letting it be a part of what you're living in anymore, and moving on and trying to focus on what you have now, you're going to continue to go through the same cycle of bullshit that you've been going through. So that's all I wanted to say. Vengeance is not a good thing. It never is. Okay? And this is why our society is set up in a way that prevents vengeance to the highest degree possible. We've allowed the vengeance mindset to grow in our popular culture, to grow in our politics, to grow in our daily lives. And this is why our country feels like it's falling apart. Because there is no grace, there is no forgiveness, there is no reasonableness. It's just, how do I feel? And you're going to satisfy my feelings. Ugh. You can do that, but then you're going to get shit in return. And that's how it works. So thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. And then I will see you for the next one.